talk a lot on this show about drunk driving. I talk a lot on this show about loss of life and how it's so unnecessary, right? My grandmother lost her life in her 60s because of a drunk driver. My parents were in comas. My sister has had several surgeries on her stomach. She was 7 years old. I was 12 years old when I was in the car, and somebody hit us head on going 60 miles an hour. And my family's life, including my own, has never been the same because of that. So forgive me for being very sensitive and very angry and having no sympathy for anybody who gets into a car inebriated. That could be alcohol, drugs, I don't care. You are some of the most selfish people on the planet Earth and some of the most ignorant people when you decide to do that, whether you hurt somebody or not. And it happened again yesterday in the Valley. And this story breaks my heart, and at the same time, I am livid and I am angry. 23-year-old woman, and forget, it didn't happen yesterday, it happened Sunday night, was involved in a crash that killed her 1-year-old son. She was driving 121 miles per hour at the time of the crash. Her name is Lauren Persia. She was booked into the Clark County Detention Center on charges of DUI resulting in death, reckless driving resulting in death, and a few other charges as well. Metro Police said that they were called to the area of Rampart and Lake Mead. By the way, that area, I used to live in that area. It's not very busy. It's a nice, quiet area, nice homes, nice apartments. It's just a nice area. Not that that would matter. You're drunk, you're drunk.
My daughter's doctor is actually right there.
Yeah, it's a nice area. It's a quiet area.
Pediatrician.
Yeah. Not to say that if you're drunk, it doesn't matter whether you're in a quiet area or a busy area. So they responded at around 7 p.m. in that area, 911 calls. After the vehicle crash, they noticed the baby was ejected from the car and assumed dead on the scene. And this horrible, horrific excuse for a mother and a human being told officers that she drank 2 12-ounce White Claw hard seltzers at around 4 p.m. Police determined that she was driving north on Rampart at a high rate of speed with her son, Royce Jones, who died at the age of 1. What makes matters even more heartbreaking, if her boyfriend is telling the truth, he claims that she was on the phone with him moments before the crash, and he said that he told her to slow down and that he begged her to slow down while on the phone, and that after he told her that, she sped up. And she told him that she was going to beat him home. I guess he was driving on the roadway as well, and I guess it was a game that they were playing or something. I don't know if he's a part of this or not, but that's what he's claiming. He claimed to tell her to slow down. They were both driving home, and she was drunk. And I talk a lot about masks, and this story isn't about masks, but I always make the analogy, if you're one of those people that refuses to wear a mask, it's not just about you, it's about everybody else. You're playing Russian roulette with society. It's the same thing when you drive a car, in my personal opinion. Driving a car, it's a responsibility, and the reason why you don't drive recklessly, the reason why you don't drive drunk, it's not just about your life, or in this case, sadly, a 1-year-old. It's about everybody else on the road. You're playing Russian roulette with society when you decide to get into a car and you're drunk, or you're on drugs, or whatever the case may be. And, I have a reporter background, a news background, and, for years I was a reporter in this town. And I've covered story after story of drunk drivers killing innocent people. Do we remember the bus stop crash that took place on Spring Mountain, where there were body parts everywhere on the road in the early morning hours? For God's sakes, I had to interview the boyfriend of one of the women that was killed in that crash, and this scumbag was drunk, and he'll probably get out of jail in 5 or 10 years. So this is the question I want to ask listeners in regards to drunk driving, because I think, in my personal opinion, if you kill somebody or even injure somebody and you're behind the wheel and you're drunk, I think there should be a minimum sentence of 40 years. I truly feel that way. I think it should be this, and you guys could tell me if you're wrong, and the number to call 702-257-5396. If you get caught drunk driving and you don't hurt anybody, but you just get pulled over, I think you should lose your driver's license for 5 years. One DUI, lose your driver's license for 5 years. I'm telling you right now, if they had that law in effect, many of these people would not be on the road. I believe they would think twice because it's about selfish reasons when you get into a car and you're drunk. I believe if you hurt anybody, you could just break a finger. You know, somebody could hit somebody. It could be a fender bender for all I care, and you break a finger, but you were drunk. You should never be allowed to drive a vehicle again. That's it. You've lost your privilege. I'm so sick of these slap on the wrists. I know people, even people that I'm friendly with, that are friends of mine, that have gotten DUIs, and they get a slap on the wrist, and they complain about how much money they had to pay to hire an attorney. They're back on the road driving again within 6 months. So my question to the listeners is this. You have this woman who killed her 1-year-old son, could have killed a lot more people, killed her 1-year-old son. What do you think should be an appropriate sentence for her? This 1-year-old is done. This poor 1-year-old will never be able to live the life that I'm sure would have been a very fulfilled one. Now this woman is behind bars. Yeah, she has to live with it for the rest of her life, but I am not comfortable with a 5 or a 10-year sentence. I am not. I don't think this woman deserves a second chance. Am I wrong in saying that?
I think you're looking at absolutely voluntary manslaughter with
murder, I think.
With an outside chance of third-degree murder.
Well,
unless maybe she had sent, unless the boyfriend is not telling the truth and she had sent some text messages that said, I'm trying to do X, or, well, my intentions are this.
Yeah. I believe he's telling the truth because it makes her look worse.
Yeah.
To be honest, I believe he's absolutely.
I think there's a chance that she gets third-degree murder, but I agree 5 to 10 years isn't enough here.
Well, but that's what they do.
She shouldn't, this particular woman shouldn't be able to drive a car again.
I agree,
obviously.
but that's what
and
they do, though.
She should spend at least 20 years behind bars. At least. Possibly up to 30.
I am so sick of drunk drivers getting off easy. Now, obviously, if you kill somebody, you're going to go to jail. But there are people in this city that have literally killed others on drunk driving, and they've been out of jail in 5 years. I've seen it happen not just in Las Vegas, throughout the country. So my question to the listeners is this. How many years do you think this woman deserves? Do you agree with me that if you get pulled over for one DUI, you should lose your driver's license for 5 years? The number to call, 702-257-5396. Again, that number if you want to be a part of the conversation, 257-5396. Let's start off with Elijah. Elijah, you're first up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Elijah?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing well.
Well, I mean, for me personally, like, I think that, you know, she should just never have a driver's license again. Like, I mean, for me, maybe a 5-year, 10-year prison sentence, and then just never have your driver's license again.
So let me ask you a question. I agree with you, by the way. By the way, that's going to be given.
Going 120. The speed limit over there is, what's it, 40?
Yeah, it's pretty low.
But let me. That's almost
40 miles an hour, and she went 120.
That's almost 3 times the speed limit.
She went over 120
that's
according to. But let me ask you this: if you kill somebody because of your negligence, you think you're okay with someone being out of jail in 5 years? I disagree with you on that.
Well, I mean, that's another thing too, because you got to remember, like, it is negligence. I'm sorry, I can't really pronounce names.
It's vehicular manslaughter. It's manslaughter is what it is. I think it's murder. But see, here's the problem with that, Elijah. And I understand what you're saying, but here's the problem with that. If you set an example like society is set, and if you kill somebody because of your stupidity of driving drunk, and you say, well, we'll give you a chance in 5 years, I'm telling you, people are going to take chances out there, and they are. And I think we need to set example, and we need to, this slap on the wrist stuff just isn't working, man.
Do you know what her BAC was?
I don't.
Well, I mean, like, a longer prison sentence, like, I don't know, like, that might change things, but I feel like what it should be is, like, they demonstrate good behavior. Like, if you have her, like,
I get
really
it. I get what you're saying with the good behavior. And
with something.
I hear with you. Sorry to cut you off. I got to get to some other callers. I get what you're saying about good behavior, but that is not going to bring the 1-year-old back. What she did was the opposite of good behavior, and now her 1-year-old is dead. I say, I'm sorry. Am I wrong, folks? Put her in jail the rest of her life. I don't think she deserves to get out. Not after what she did. 702-257-5396. What do you think? Let's go to John. John is next on the Vegas Take. What's up, John?
Well, I got in right when you guys started discussing this. I called for another reason, but I'm just going to make a real quick statement. I've been a 52-year resident of Las Vegas.
Yes,
and
sir.
when it comes to drunk driving and people that kill people in drunk driving, I don't know if your listeners know this or not, but I went to school with Mark Slaughter.
Oh,
and
boy.
Mark Slaughter wrote the song Flight of the Angels because his high school sweetheart, Cindy Romana, who was a song leader at Shapiro High School, was killed by a drunk driver while Mark was flying back into town because he was coming back to visit with
I
her.
am very familiar with that story. Yes, it is horrible.
Absolutely. Mark is a good man. He really is. He did a lot. But the reason I called, I was in my vehicle and I had to stop, and it's been a few minutes, but you were speaking of coronavirus, and you were speaking of what's been going on, and I want to ask you guys, does anybody in the station today know that it's been reported that the Florida Department of Health and Human Services and their Centers for Diseases have overreported coronavirus positive testing by damn near 100%?
Yeah. I saw it was in Orlando. There were several different outlets that had reported it was 98.4% positive when the actual number was 9.4%. I saw it. I didn't mention that.
No,
though.
I am not aware of that. I am only going by the numbers that I received.
But that is true. That came out around 5 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Pacific
That's
Standard Time.
what we talked about for an hour last hour. Obviously, we're talking now about this woman. This lack of a human being, as far as I'm concerned.
And to expand on that, Brian, I think if she had, what time was this accident again?
Let me just give people background real quick.
Okay.
It was 7 p.m. on Sunday, and
she had 2 White Claws,
2
at
12-ounce
4.
White Claws at 4. Listen, we're just assuming she's telling the truth. She could have had drugs in her system. We don't know.
If she is, then she's probably a .09 or a .10.
Well, I'm not going to assume that. All we know is that she was drunk and she killed her 1-year-old. And my point that
we don't know her BAC.
But I don't really care. She was drunk. The point I'm trying to make is this. I don't believe that if you kill somebody on the road from drunk driving, you deserve a second chance. That's my opinion. I don't believe that if you drive drunk and you don't hurt anybody and you're just pulled over, that you should be able to drive a vehicle in 3 or 4 months. I don't believe that. I think we need to have stronger laws. And listen, let's be honest with it. Las Vegas is a 24/7 town, even with the coronavirus. These casinos are open 24/7. Alcohol is at your disposal anywhere.
The casinos are doing well, by the way. Like, they're doing okay. I was at South Point on Saturday. It was 115 degrees, crazy.
Yeah,
but everybody there had masks, and it was very, very busy. I think that it should be based on how high your BAC is. If you're a .16 or a .20 or a .24, I mean, you shouldn't be conscious. So you definitely shouldn't be behind the wheel.
Okay,
in her situation, she was driving. She was driving exceptionally fast. Obviously, she probably blew a .10 or .09, considering what she actually said. If she's telling the truth, as far as that's how much she consumed.
Well, let's.
But I think it really should depend on how intoxicated you got before you got behind.
I disagree. Whether you're breaking the law by a little bit or a lot, the bottom line is you're breaking the law and you're putting everybody at risk. And I don't care if this woman was a little bit over the limit or a lot over the limit. Put her in jail for the rest of her life. She doesn't deserve a second chance. What do you think out there? 702-257-5396. Let's go to Anthony. Anthony, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Anthony?
Hey, Brian. JD, good to hear you back, too.
Oh, thanks.
I remind myself when I was a youngster, teenager, 75, I know exactly the year, coming home from school, we had some friends who had a dad that drank pretty hefty, and he would drive. Well, we coming home from school this particular day, and one of the students from the school up the road, there was a body laying in the street covered up.
Oh, no.
And, that son's going to come around the corner and
that's horrible.
Anthony, and her head was smashed as flat as a pancake.
Anthony, that's horrible. And so do you agree? You saw it firsthand. I just have no sympathy for these DUI drivers. I mean, do you agree with me?
None at all.
Yeah.
None at all.
It's one of the most selfish things I think you can do as a human being. I really believe that. And
none at all. This guy had ample amount of time to
no question, Anthony. I'm sorry. Anthony, I'm truly sorry you had to see that. But sometimes that's what it takes. You know, you have to hear these stories. You have to see them and hear them, Anthony, like you did, sadly, my friend, and I appreciate the phone call. 702-257-5396. James, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
What's up, James?
Hey, good morning, sir.
What's up?
Hey, I'd like to say, first of all, I graduated from Shapiro in 79, so I'm aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
But there used to be 12 or 13 of us, all had motorcycles, and the engines outdid the brakes and the handling back in the day. And of those 13 friends, there's me and one other guy that are left alive, and that's because of drugs and drinking and riding the damn motorcycles.
Let me ask you this, James.
Sure.
What do you think should happen to this woman?
It's murder.
Yeah, I agree.
You're not involuntarily drunk. You made the choice to drink. Now, I also have a commercial license, so even in my personal vehicle, I can only be .04.
Right.
So as far as I'm concerned, you made the choice to do it.
Yep.
You're guilty of murder. 120 miles an hour on a 45-mile-an-hour
Lake
road?
Mead.
Come on,
Yeah,
man.
That is the grossest of the gross negligence.
James, I couldn't agree with you more, my friend, and I appreciate the phone call. Thanks very much.
Good call, James.
And you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right, James. Got to get to some other callers, my friend. But you're right. I think it is murder, this involuntary stuff. Listen, it's involuntary if you're not drunk and you go through a stop sign. It's your fault, but you're not intentionally trying to kill somebody. I believe there is some intent there because of your stupidity when you decide to get into a car drunk. Let's take some more phone calls at 257-5396.
And there's a difference between 65 in a 40 or even 50 in a 40 and 120 in a 40.
Well, yeah, it's the most selfish
or
thing
50,
you can do.
I suppose.
Let's go to Robert. Robert, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Robert?
Robert, are you there?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Thank you. Yep, go ahead, Robert.
Welcome back, JD. Hey,
Thank you.
real quick, do you think you're having this discussion because of two things? One could be the lawyers lobby. They're making a lot of money off of this, off of DUI. And the other thing is car manufacturers. What do you think they're crunching as far as to put in some kind of system that you couldn't drive if the alcohol level was high?
Well,
so that's just open for discussion.
Yeah, well, the latter, I don't necessarily agree with car manufacturers, but the first one, you're absolutely right. I mean, attorneys make so much money off of these drunk driving cases. And let me tell you something else that pisses me off, okay? You know, there are so many frivolous lawsuits out there. There are people in this town that get paralyzed. There are people in this town that have lost limbs at the hands of drunk drivers. And guess what? I know some people that either don't get any money or just get a few $1,000s. So I call it the injustice system. As far as car manufacturing goes, your second point, here's what I say, and this would probably cost a lot of money. I don't think you should be allowed to start a car until you take that automatic breathalyzer. I'd be willing to do that, and I don't even drink. Now, you could make the argument that a passenger could do it for you to start your car. Yes, you're absolutely right. But in some cases, I think it would save lives, Robert. I really do.
I think it's kind of the same thing with the seatbelts. So it was all about money initially, putting them in the cars.
You could, and when they install a breathalyzer, because they already do that, Brian. But they do that. But that's after you get a DUI.
After I'm talking about before.
You're saying beforehand.
As a whole.
To me, that's infringing on your civil liberties.
I don't think so.
But they could do a biometric situation where you have to do your fingerprint, and then at that point then you get the opportunity to do the breathalyzer.
As far as that goes, all I could tell you is this 1-year-old has no civil liberties
no,
anymore.
I understand. Hey, I get that 100%.
So,
but I'm saying as far as having manufacturers put breathalyzers into every single vehicle, to me is probably to me it's over the top.
Well, again, here's to me over the top is
it will cost the country a lot of money because they're making money off the actual breathalyzers.
Drunk driving costs the country a lot of money as well. And let me tell you something. I would be willing to be inconvenienced every day for the rest of my life with these breathalyzers in cars if this 1-year-old could be alive today. And that's why I don't have a problem with it. There are too many stupid people out there. Yes, I'll have to be inconvenienced for people's stupidity, but if it saves lives, which I believe it would be worth it. Let's get back to the calls at 257-5396. Let's go to Bob. Bob, you're next on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Bob?
How you doing, Bram? Welcome back, JD.
Thanks.
That's Jeff. Hey, guys, there's two sides to every story. This girl, what she did was wrong. She deserves to, get what she has coming. She's going to have to live with killing her child. That's going to be one issue. But, legally, she needs to pay the piper. But like I said, there's two sides to every story.
What's the other side to this story?
My daughter dated this girl 3 years ago and the word on social media right now is the boyfriend's not telling all the truth. There was a little car chase going on.
So even if there wasn't there was a car chase.
No excuse for it, Brian. What she did was wrong. But I just get mad when people say things and try to better themselves. like the boyfriend, for instance.
Well, I don't really care what the boyfriend says. Because here's why. I get what you're saying, Bob. I do.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, right? The boyfriend isn't the one that killed this 1-year-old child. She did. So I don't want to focus on the boyfriend. Maybe the boyfriend's an idiot. Maybe he played a small role. That's why there's an investigation. But the bottom line is, here's what we know for sure. We know that this woman was going over 120 miles an hour on Lake Mead and Rampart, where the speed limit's around 40, if I'm not mistaken. We know that she was drunk. She admitted that she had drinks. She killed her 1-year-old. So while I'm not disagreeing with what you could be saying here, the bottom line is we have to focus on what this woman did.
We do.
Yeah.
We really do.
And
I
Brian,
just hope, I know you guys, that's why I listen to you guys. You put the facts out there, but a lot of media doesn't. They twist it around a little bit, and I appreciate you both.
Well, thank you, Bob. That's nice of you to say.
Thanks a lot, Bob.
We appreciate you, Bob. Thank you. You call anytime you want to, Bob. I appreciate you, my man. 702-257-5396. We only got about 5 minutes left here. I want to squeeze in as many calls as I can. We want to hear your voice on this show. Let's go to Matt. Matt, you are next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, Matt.
Matt? All right, Matt. Have a nice day. Thank you for your patience. 702-257-5396. I believe Dave is next. Dave, what's going on? What do you make of this?
Hey, what's going on? I think that she's in a tremendous amount of pain right now. I don't think she necessarily did it on purpose. I think maybe it had been a confrontation with her and her boyfriend. I don't know if the boyfriend is the father of the child.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is kind of due to stress levels and ignorance,
Okay, so let's go with that for a second. I have no doubt that she's in pain, but just because she's in pain, does that mean we should let her off?
No one gets let off of anything, especially if your 1-year-old daughter just got killed.
Right, 1-year-old son. Well, listen, does it have to be intent in order for it to be, say, a prison sentence of 20 to 30 years? Her 1-year-old son is dead because of her stupidity and her selfishness. Hey, by
the way, Brian, she just had a bail set for $50,000 this morning,
which is absurd, by the way. That judge is a disgrace.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the money scheme of the way the
perhaps. Yeah, perhaps. You might be right, Dave. I hear where you're going with this, buddy, but I don't think you have sympathy for her either. But again, it's all pure speculation when you're saying that the boyfriend could have been involved. We don't know that to be true. What we do know is that she's the one that was involved here.
Well, I think an argument for some is that she's already punished enough. She killed her own child.
Yeah.
But
that's absurd.
She was going 120 miles an hour in a. I can't even understand why you would ever in a million.
Because she was drunk. She was inebriated.
2 White Claws 3 hours before this happened.
Probably lying.
Wouldn't translate to a .07.
We don't know.
0.24.
We don't know if she was a point.
Going 3 times the speed limit. I've driven fast before. I've probably gone 60 and a 40, 70 and a 40, but 120 and a 40, that's insanity, Brian.
I agree. Let's try to squeeze in one more call before we go to break. PJ, you're next. I got about 1 minute for you, my friend. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, PJ?
Hi. So I'm going to speak quick because I've got lots of points to make. So I do agree that, yes, she's going to be punished herself in her own way because she's killed her child, but I think she needs to serve at least a minimum of 20 years because really 20 years on good behavior is 10. If she works within the prison system, doing, cooking, cleaning, whatever, then it's going to be a third. So then we're talking like
Agree.
7 years.
Yep.
But to me, it sounds like it's more than just intoxication. Like maybe there was obviously reckless driving and maybe some anger and issues and things like that. I do think you have to factor in intent, but I want to say something about the bail.
Quickly, I got 30 seconds.
Okay, I had a friend of mine in Austin who was a habitual drunk driver. She was my neighbor, and I didn't realize what was going on until I was finding huge water bottles filled with vodka. And she was constantly getting pulled over and then bailed out, and she would keep doing it over and over again. She had a lot of money to pay attorneys, and I think that, while I understand they need to prepare their case and, she has other things that she's going to need to take care of, if she's going away, I think the bail should have been set higher.
Agree.
And
yeah,
they
I
should
agree.
put a scram on her.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Drinking.
Yeah, PJ, I could not agree with you more. I'm sorry, I have to. I'm up against a hard break here, but very good phone call. I agree with everything you said. She should certainly never be allowed to drive a car again for the rest of her life. There's certainly no question about that. So.